I'm Myke Shrews.
And I'm Tivis.
And you're listening to
The Munster Cast.
Episode 25. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the MUNSTERCAST, the podcast where we watch and talk about the Munsters. I am Myke Shrews. As always, with me is my co-host Tivis. Tivis, how you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Dying from a chip, but that's okay.
like a edible chip, or like did the government put a chip inside of you?
Like a Core Ranch Dorito.
Gotcha. All right, guys, real quick, all the dirty work. You can find us on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at the MUNSTERCAST. And if you really want for YouTube, it is the MUNSTERCAST. Of course, I already said that. I don't know why I repeated it. But there you can go and check out the video version of this. And we might be putting some extra content on there as well that will not be released in just audio form later down the road. So subscribe there and you get to see our pretty ugly faces that way too. So awesome. You can also email us at TheMunsterCast@outlook.com. You can let us know your Munster stories or questions or anything that you want to tell us relating to the Munster world as a whole, or to how we are doing the podcast, of course. So don't be shy, and yeah, we'll definitely email you back, and we will make sure it is okay to either say your name and or question on the show before we do so. So before we dive into this, Tivis, is there anything that you got to say, man?
It looks like Sylvester McCoy has wrapped filming.
Okay.
So that's good. Also, Rob Zombie accidentally typed the Munsters.
Awesome.
Which is hilarious.
Awesome.
So
that's fun.
There's our movie update for this episode.
All right, man. All right. So let's dive into episode 6 then, shall we, of the Munsters. And this is one we should have a decent talk about this.
Oh, yeah, we will.
All right. So dive on in there, man.
Happy 100th anniversary. Season 2, episode 6. Aired October 21st, 1965. Written by Doug Tibbles, Norm Liebman, and Ed Haas. Directed by Ezra Stone. Guests, we have Robert Cornthwaite, I think I'm pronouncing that right, as Mr. Parker, who played Howard Buss in Picket Fences. Jack Grinnage as Mr. Walpole, who played Marvel for 2 episodes of Scrubs, which was the replacement janitor in season 8 after Neil Flynn's character got fired by Courtney Cox. I love Scrubs. I can't not mention him. It's awesome that he's in this episode. Vinton Hayworth as the bank manager. He was General Winfield Schaefer in I Dream of Jeannie. William O'Connell as the bank clerk, who played, help me out here, Thelev in Star Trek.
I would have to see the
Thelev.
Believe?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, you're the Star Trek nerd. Foster Brooks as the Admiral, who will come back as a character in Munsters today. I don't know if you want me to tell you who he'll be or not, but
We can wait, I guess.
Okay. Gnome Pitlick as Jack Hoyer, who has been the pathologist in Ben Casey, and Mr. Victor Gianelli in the Bob Newhart show. So a couple cool, good ones. And of course, Bob Hastings is back as the Raven, uncredited still for some reason.
They say uncredited. I'm assuming they just mean uncredited on the show credits.
Yeah.
It's on IMDb. So, I mean,
that's generally what that means.
Eventually there is a credit somewhere. Unless
he's uncredited in the episode itself.
Yeah. All right. So where are we? Episode 6 of season 2. Happy 100th anniversary, October 21st, 1965, as Tivis has said. Also, October 21st. It's my wife's birthday, but not 1965. I didn't marry a cougar or grandma cougar. What would that be?
That would have been 60 years ago. So,
all right. Herman and Lily want to buy each other elaborate gifts for their 100th anniversary without either telling the other. Well, let me restart that. Herman and Lily want to buy each other. Herman and Lily want to buy each other elaborate gifts for their 100th anniversary without either telling the other. They both take night jobs as ship welders to make extra money. Dun, dun, dun. So, the jobs that they should be taking at night because they stay up anyways, dude. Like, they're awake during the day and night. So when do they actually sleep? And when
they don't need to.
When we do see them sleep, it is at night too, by the way.
That's true. Yeah, they do sleep. Well, we'll talk about that actually. So this episode opens with what appears to be Herman and Grandpa looking at women. And they really make a joke about that. But then it turns out to be the old family car from a photo book that they're flipping through. And they reach the wedding photo of Herman, which I noticed Lester and Charlie aren't there. They're bad family members.
I still want to know if anyone out there knows which side of the family is Charlie related to, the Munster side or the Dracula side. So if anyone out there does know before, I mean, we might find out in a movie or something, but
are you
what?
You want to know which side of the family Herman's twin brother is on?
Or did I say Charlie?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I mean, Uncle Gilbert. But I want to know what side Uncle Gilbert is on.
Okay, that makes more sense.
If he's on the Munster side or if he's on the Dracula side.
Okay, I'll say this. If someone has a twin that's part of a different family, that is interesting.
Have you ever seen It Takes Two?
Yeah. We were off topic a lot last episode. I'm trying to keep us on track this time.
All right. So we're going through the book.
So the picture, I got a little thing I'm going to insert here. Okay, nope, this is later. It's not on the photo. I'll bring it up in a bit. But we can actually narrow down when their anniversary is. So they're looking at it and they're like, hey, Herman, this photo was in 1865. Do you know what that means? He's like, nope. It's your 100th anniversary this Saturday. He's like, oh, you know what? I'll get something to surprise Lily with. She'll be shocked that I even recalled it, which you didn't. You were reminded.
Yeah.
But, it's the thought that counts. And so then we jump to Marilyn and Lily discussing the exact same thing. She has no doubt that Herman has forgotten. And she is right to do so. She's like, the amount of things that fall out of his head. I'm thinking about making an appointment with the doctor to have screens installed.
Yeah, the things that go in and out, she says. It's like, really?
Again, no logo overlay.
Yeah.
So
They heard your whining.
or they realize that it's just not good. So the family are sitting down at the table, and Marilyn brings out the cherry. What is it? Cherry Jubilee? Is that what she calls it?
I'm not sure. I was confused because they lit it on fire. So I was like,
Yes,
wait,
they did. She says she forgot to set it on fire, and Grandpa's like, "Don't worry, I'll use my fire finger," which catches fire, and then he lights it. And Eddie is upset because he wanted to set his own on fire.
Yeah.
Herman's like, "Hey, I'm going to take some extra hours this Saturday. Is that okay? We got anything big going on?" And Marilyn's like, "I'm going to go make some coffee in the kitchen." And Lily's like, yeah, I'm gonna join you. And I'm like, oh, Lily's upset. Ooh. And
but not really though. That's the sad thing is she's not like.
Well, it appears to be right at this moment because she's like leaving the room quickly, and Marilyn's like, yeah, I got to get out of here before a fight breaks out. So Eddie goes, I'm gonna give my dessert to Spot before the fire goes out. So Herman's like, all right, we got $1,200 in the bank. I'm going to use 1,000 of it to get a gift, which that's dangerous. That's dangerous right there. You got house payments and stuff.
Maybe their house is paid off.
They mention money a lot.
He scares up the rent every week, remember?
Yeah, they went from renters to homeowners. So the guy, we cut to the people at the bank, and they're like, we got 2 checks in.
Well, no. This is before then.
You're right.
Really does the same exact thing. She's like, well, you know what? I'm going to go and pull out $1,000 and get him something fantastic.
We're gonna splurge.
And this is coming from like, I wonder if too, like being married and everything, if that's like her way of trying to make him feel even more like shit for forgetting.
Could be. Here's a solution. You got a big anniversary coming up. You want to spend $1,000 to get a gift to make the other person happy. Talk to each other like a normal couple and go on a vacation.
And save up beforehand,
Yeah, we're planning on going to DC, and I'm working my ass off to get that happen. Not that I have a choice in the matter. The guy we cut to the bank, and they're like, hey, we got 2 checks in. Like, hey, they're both for the Munsters. They're both for 1,000. How much they got? 1,200. Well, sounds like there's insufficient funds. Or you just cash one of them and tell the other one there's insufficient funds.
Right.
At least they didn't overdraft them, which banks will do, you sneaky MFers. So the guy gets overly happy. He's like, I love using this thing. He gets the stamp out, stamps them both insufficient. Like, you are way too happy there.
And then we get the fade into the check that, go on.
Well, here's where we can deduce their anniversary.
Okay.
So Lily's check mentions on it September 1st. Okay, this might be the check later in the episode, but I don't care. I'm doing it now. I'm tired of waiting. That would mean that their wedding took place September 4th, 1865.
No, 7 days.
That's why I'm thinking it's the later check, but doesn't matter.
Okay.
Math checks out. I'm doing it early.
So then we'll go back and fade in from check to check to Herman's hand, where Herman's just pissed off. He's like, those rats, they wouldn't cash this check. Like, what's going on? And
they're in the lab, by the way.
Yeah. And then this is where Grandpa does like, the father-in-law thing, like, oh, I guess you just don't got the money, you broke bum. Like, what's wrong with you? You can't take care of shit. And then he convinces Herman to take a night shift job, a moonlighting position. And then this is where Herman, before we leave this scene, calls Grandpa a no good sneak. He's like, I'm glad that I have a no good sneak to talk these things
Well,
with.
before we leave this, he's like, won't Lily get suspicious? And Grandpa's like, just tell her you're working late, dingus.
Yeah. Just tell her you're at the parlor working late.
Like, oh, yeah.
And that's when he says the no good sneak line to Grandpa. And then he walks away and we go to the reverse of where Lily is at.
Yeah.
With
he is
Marilyn.
super upset because Dracula's always have something to fall back on.
Yeah. Which in this episode, and maybe the last week's episode that we watched too, I think that they're using Marilyn more as the friend personality of Lily than her actual niece now. Like, we're not worried about getting Marilyn hooked up and married and all that stuff. And we don't really see her in school anymore. So we just really see her talking to Lily and like helping Lily through her problems.
You know,
what does Marilyn know? She's never been married. She can't even hold down a guy.
Yeah, I'm actually glad we're stepping away from that because that kind of got old quick.
Yeah. Well, so is Lily being bitchy to Herman all the time.
Yeah. So Marilyn's like, I wonder where that money went. Which it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, they still have the $1,200 in their bank.
They're like, why don't, Lily goes, I'm going to get a part-time job so that I can afford to get Herman something nice.
Yep.
It's, they're both going to be real happy when they realize that $1,200 is still in the bank after they earn this money.
Like, no one's going down to the bank and being like, hey, where's our money? Like,
yeah, you'd think you would ask.
That would be the first phone call.
Or confront the other people who have access to the bank account. Like, what did you do?
Well, then they would just start a big fight.
Sometimes fights need to happen.
We didn't need that fight right now, though, especially for no reason. They need to call the bank.
Money is a big reason. Don't overspend.
They need to call the bank first before they start arguing.
Yeah, that's all right. Fair.
We go to Herman looking at an ad of an agency that will hook them up with jobs and stuff like that. So,
did you catch the name of the agency?
Was it like it started with a C?
The Cleaver Employment Agency. Both Joe Connolly and Bob Mosier created Leave It to Beaver.
Okay.
I'm not saying that there's a little naming joke there, but there's a naming joke there.
I don't know what to say to that.
I don't know. I just thought that was clever. So, yeah. He's like, hey, look, I found this ad for both men and women, high paying.
Yeah. And then this is where he says something to Grandpa about, or is it Grandpa says something to him? I'm trying to recall.
Yeah. Something like the lines of don't blow it. Yeah. And he starts writing it down.
That's what it was. And he writes it down. He's like, what are you doing? I'm writing it down in my trusty little notepad. And then Lily and Marilyn come running out there and I'm like, Herman, I thought you were at the parlor already.
Well, Lily has the same newspaper and she quickly hides it under her arm.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm heading out now. Also, I won't be home for dinner this week. I'm working overtime. And Marilyn says, go ahead. And maybe we'll get lucky and Mr. Gateman will send us another turkey for Thanksgiving to thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man. So they're clearly got kept real close since Lily went in there to fix his employment issues.
The last Thanksgiving episode we had, they kind of starved Herman. So
yeah, they did. Oh, yeah, that's true. He broke into a neighbor's house and ate their turkey.
Yeah.
Their toki.
The toki.
What is wrong with my mouth today?
It doesn't have enough turkey in it.
So after Herman and Grandpa leaves, Lily and Marilyn are ecstatic because they're like, this means that you could get away with working a night job and not have to worry about him catching on.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm going to go to this employment agency now. So I loved this whole thing at the employment agency. we cut to Herman walking in, scaring the guy so bad his hair flies up and then drops right back down. And it's clear the footage was just reversed, but Herman's like, oh, must be a draft in here. So it's like, you want a night job? That'll be real good for your face. Yeah.
Keep you out of sight.
Yeah. Herman's like, well, I work days at the funeral parlor. Is this finally confirmation that the parlor is for funerals? They've been hinting at it for episodes, but this funeral? Yeah.
I guess so then.
I feel like this is the first time they've outright said the word funeral.
Okay.
Yeah. So the guy's like, oh, I'm gonna go get a drink of water. So he gets up, go to the water cooler in the room, and you get a shot of the wall and another water cooler in the opposite room as the guy's doing the exact same motion. Yeah. He goes and sits down. And we find out he's with Lily. So this is where we find out quite a bit about Lily's background in work. She used to be a medical aide for the Nightingale, which, if no one knows who that is, she is a huge, important medical historic figure. Like, there's way too much for me to get into here, but just look her up. She's fascinating. So we also he is not happy to learn that her maiden name is Dracula, and she's from Transylvania. He really freaks out at that.
Super common there, dude.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go out and get even more water from out in the lobby. So he leaves and runs into Herman's interviewer, and they're like, hey, you want to swap? He's like, oh, I just got some average Joe. I could toss him to you. It's no problem.
Yeah.
So then they both head into the opposite doors, immediately jump back through the glass in the door and run for their lives.
Yeah. And then we get the nice did you have something to say on that?
Well, I'm just like, how do Lily and Herman not realize at this point that they're in the rooms next to each other?
Maybe they just don't really catch on to those hints, maybe. I don't know.
It's like there's nothing blocking their sound anymore. They could hear each other talk.
Yeah. I don't know. Then we get a nice fade out to Marilyn, who's reading a paper. And then we see Lily in her overalls, and she's getting ready to go and weld, because she had a welding job. And her hair hanging down that far is going to catch on fire if if she gets any sparks on there.
We also find out that they had to go through 5 interviewers before she finally got the job.
Yeah. And then after that part, we get to Grandpa.
They also promised her that she will earn the amount she's looking for, and it will keep her off the streets. And she is very confused by that last bit.
Yeah. And what are they referring to? Like,
there could be a couple of things here.
Is it because of her being a Dracula, or is it because of her being a woman? What are they trying to ensue here? Like, that's the big
I think that's what she's trying to figure out too in her head.
Like, what are we doing here? Treat the Munsters with some respect. Put some respect on that name.
So Grandpa's singing away, mixing something up in the lab when Herman walks in his welding uniform, scaring him to life.
He scares the crap out of him. And I'm glad, because Grandpa is always laughing at everybody else's, shit, that he deserved to be scared here, man. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Because Herman especially comes up like he's like, some freaking serial killer or something in the mines. like it's My Bloody Valentine right in front of Grandpa's face. So then Herman basically tells him, I got a welding job at night going down there. It basically the same shit that Lily just said. And then we cut.
He's real excited to meet some interesting people.
Yeah. And then we cut to Grandpa rushing through the hallways and finds Marilyn. It's like, I got a secret. And she's like, I got a secret too.
Marilyn is overly aggressive at this point too. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to tell you first though. And Grandpa's like, no, I want to tell mine first.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, wait, let's just say them at the same time. I don't understand why shows do this. I mean, obviously we understand because it's the same secret.
Yeah.
But if they're two different secrets, you're going to be talking over each other and not hearing anything.
Well, maybe you just need to get it out so badly that it doesn't matter if you hear the other person's secret or not.
Yeah. This is a great interaction. Do you want to take this?
And so they both go and they both say, Lily Herman are working at, the shipyards. And Marilyn's like, well, that's funny. I kind of thought you just said that Herman was, working at the what? And he's like, yeah, it's funny because I thought you said that Lily was doing the same thing. And she's like, yeah, but it wasn't. You're wrong. You're not right. Like she went at him like, no, old man, like, trust me, Lily's the one that's doing it. Like,
yeah,
Herman's not.
She is overly aggressive in this scene.
So, yeah,
they laugh over them both working together, and Marilyn's like, "Wait, it's touching that they want to surprise each other, but they're both there." And Grandpa's like, "Oh yeah, that I hope they don't run into each other." Marilyn's like, let's just not tell him. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. In blood.
And he tries to bite her like 3 freaking times.
Yes, he does. She scolds him. It's like, I'm shaking. He goes, I love this line. I'm shaking hands, but I'm thinking blood.
Yeah. Like, why didn't he
tries to bite her again?
I think he do that last week when there was 2 people in this house that were uninvited. Like, go at them, eat them. Like, not your freaking niece. And also, if that's not even his niece, that would be his granddaughter. So wouldn't she be a Dracula too, or part Dracula, anyways? So she'd be part vampire.
He's got a werewolf summon and maybe a werewolf Dracula grandson. I don't know.
Yeah, how'd they get that, Tivis? Moving
You're
forward.
Lucky I'm eating a jelly bean. I just love that scene. The look on Al Lewis's face when he delivers that line. I'm shaking hands, but I'm thinking blood.
Oh, he's such a great actor, man.
All
right, so then we go to we fade into the shipyard where Lily's walking up the ramp and Herman's already clearly there. We all know it's Herman because we've seen him in this outfit already.
Yeah, and he's freaking huge.
And he's huge. So Lily starts working and Herman looks over and checks her butt out or something, bro. And then this is where it gets weird because
this is where the episode took a turn for me. It went from the sweet, wonderful anniversary story to
so then
I'm feeling gross.
Yeah, Herman then takes his blowtorch and writes on the metal, I am a boy. And then they're like, oh yeah, nice reaction. And then we cut then to where she says, I am a girl. Tee hee. When have we ever, first of all, heard Lily say tee hee? And clearly, him saying I am a boy is just saying, hey, hey, hi, I guess. But her putting the tee hee on it is a real big flirt right there.
Yeah.
And this whole interaction is just weird because they don't know who each other are. And they try and play it off at the end, but bullshit. They don't know who each other are. And they're flirting with each other. So they're flirting with strangers, basically. And then the way they talk about each other later on to Grandpa and Marilyn, it's even worse, man. It's hard.
All right.
It's a hard
now
one.
We're at the house where Herman is telling Grandpa how much of a blast he had.
Yep.
With his new welding partner, and Grandpa's like, oh, I'm glad you like him. And Herman goes, no, he's not a he. And Grandpa's like, well, then what is he then? And Herman goes, well, he's a girl. And Grandpa's, what?
But he doesn't have like a bad reaction to hearing that, Herman is kind of like flirting with this girl. And this is his daughter's freaking husband.
I feel like both Grandpa and Marilyn at this point overreacting, because then we cut to Marilyn talking to Lily, and Lily's like, my new work friend is, great. And Marilyn goes, oh, she's probably just a stereotypical woman just like you. And Lily goes, no, she's more rugged. And Marilyn's like, so a tomboy? Lily says, more like a plain ordinary boy. And Marilyn is outraged. I'm like, this is a unisex work. It says right there in the job for men and women, you're going to work with someone who's not your gender.
Yeah.
Like them overreacting like this is ridiculous.
Were they overreacting though because they were working together with different genders, or were they overreacting because
even then, when I worked at Kroger, I worked with one guy and 4 women. It's not my choice to pick who I work with. That's just where I got stuck.
I'm saying, are they overreacting because they're working with different gendered people, or were they overreacting because they understood that they were kind of in a flirtatious mode with each other?
I didn't feel the flirtatious thing right then and there.
Okay.
Because I got along great with the women I worked with at Kroger. They were, we had a lot of fun conversations, but that doesn't mean I'm like, hey, forget my girlfriend at the time, now wife.
I'm just going to be quiet because, well, I didn't have a wife then, so.
Well, I don't know what's going on, but all right. Yeah, no, I just
even the way Lily is positioning herself is really awkward. Like she's in this really like high school girl like mode to where she's telling her best friend about this new guy she met, in this episode, and it's really weird and it's really awkward for me. And because they're even sitting on like her bed and stuff when they're doing it, and I was just like, this is like, because we know that they like each other, but then the buildup, and I'm going to get really like super deep with this, but the buildup we've had over the last several episodes of her just being a complete asshole to Herman. And I'm starting to wonder, I'm like, yeah, like maybe this is what it is. Maybe she does want to cheat on him. Maybe she's tired of old 150-year-old Herman, maybe she has to replace some of his body parts or something. I don't know.
That's a weird phrasing.
It's meant to be.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just this episode really made me feel gross. I'll be honest with you, people.
Yeah, it was hard.
So Grandpa is excitedly burning marshmallows with Marilyn. He's burn. There's a lot of misdirect in this episode, and it's wonderful. Especially with Grandpa, except for the blood thing. It's pretty clear what he wanted.
Yeah. Always. He always wants the blood.
So Herman's like, or Marilyn goes, I'm real worried about Herman seeing Lily talking to this guy. And Grandpa goes, well, what if Lily sees Herman talking to this cutie? I'm like,
again, this is her dad. She should not be allowing this to be happening, or he should not be allowing this to happen at all. Period.
No.
If I came home and told my father-in-law, like I flirted with, my coworker or whatnot, girlfriend or girlfriend coworker.
You could call me whatever you want. It's fine.
Yeah. Like if I said that, like, no, one, they'd be going over to her and telling her instantly, and 2, I would like expect to get some anything. I wouldn't let that shit happen. I wouldn't even let my kids do that crap, let alone if it was my daughter's husband. Come on.
I really expected to trip you up more than I did. You
No.
just kept going like I didn't say anything.
Come on now.
Yeah. All right. That's professional for you.
It's like you slapped me at the Oscars and I still went with it.
Oh no. We didn't even talk about that on our other show.
So let's go with this. So then we go back to the shipyard where they're in the same spot.
Yeah. Well, first of all, they're Marilyn and Grandpa are like, well, what are the odds that they're going to notice that they're doing this? There's thousands of people there, which so
then we go back to the yard, and
then this is where it gets real bad real quick.
And then Herman writes, "You're cute," even with the proper English, like too, you apostrophe RE. So
how are they not getting fired for writing into the actual blowtorches for this?
All right, so I think that it's just the black, like the ash, so that it can wipe right off. I don't think it's actually damaging the steel of the ship or whatever they're welding. That's what I was under the influence of. Like,
I'm shocked that they allowed them to use actual torches, though.
I mean, how else were they going to do it? It's not like they did CG shit.
Yeah, I know. It's just
I don't know, man.
Yeah, but so we cut back to the house with Grandpa carrying a giant bread over to Herman, who has a giant salami, and he starts telling him off for being flirtatious. He's like, how would you feel if Lily finds out about this? And Herman's, who's Lily? Grandpa should have smacked him right there and then.
Yeah.
Herman then says, any woman who forgets an anniversary has no call to be jealous.
Yeah. No. I don't.
No, there's no.
It's there's no reason, especially when you're married. It's not like they're boyfriend and girlfriend and bullshit like that. And they're in high school where I can see the boys saying stupid shit like that or the girls saying stupid shit like that. Like, I can understand that from young and immature people, but, well, I guess Herman is kind of immature, but still, like, Grandpa's there, Grandpa's also had 6 wives that he never divorced, so.
They have possibly buried in the backyard. It's
tough because if I was in this situation, one, I would never be in this situation because I have more respect for my wife than that. And two, like, even when I dated people in the past, I didn't put myself in that situation. Like the reference I made to like possibly flirting to girls and stuff when I worked in locations, I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, or definitely not a wife, for sure.
Like you've worked at places with being with a partner, though. You didn't have to associate with Kroger. I was just giving my example.
Well, I did work at Kroger though too.
I know you did. All right, listeners, I'm staunch. Like, if you're going to be in a relationship, you should be in a relationship, and if that relationship happens to be a mutual open, that's fine.
Yeah.
But until you both agree to that, you shouldn't do this stuff. Like, when I got with my wife, I was with my wife, and that's it. That's the way I looked at it. I couldn't give 2 thoughts to literally anyone else because I'm just happy. I don't know how to explain it. But
even if you're not happy, talk about it first before you go and do something that could always hurt somebody really bad.
Every time someone asks for relationship advice, I'm like, this could be solved in 30 seconds by just talking to your partner. Just talk to your partner. 100% of problems can be solved with just a conversation.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to this,
everybody.
No, it's just this is an extremely frustrating episode for me.
These are the things Grandpa should be saying at the end of this episode, not what he does say. So,
yeah.
let's move forward. So then we go to Lily
turns
and
out
Marilyn.
That, first of all, I want to point out that bread that Grandpa was carrying is actual bread because he began slicing it.
Yeah.
Did not expect that. Then I'm like, wow, that salami can't be real. I've just noticed Herman like moving the knife up and down on the edge of it. Then he cuts a slice off of it. I'm like, oh my God, that's real too.
What's even worse is the knife. It has to be real for them to be cutting through it. And Herman like scares Grandpa again with the knife in his hand. I thought Al almost cut himself.
Oh my God, I thought the same thing.
He gets this look on his face too, like he thought he almost would have hit himself too.
Yeah,
so I'm glad nothing happened. Hopefully nothing happened on set.
And Al Lewis was cutting this bread like he's holding it to his chest and he's slicing it toward himself.
Yeah.
And never cut anything to yourself. That is just asking to be sent to the hospital. But then Herman knocks his arm. And I almost had a heart attack watching this transaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought like for real, like after that take or something, they probably were like, what the fuck, man? Come on.
I'm sure it was an accident, but oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Grandpa asked, why are you making so many sandwiches? It's like, well, my coworker might get hungry. She can dip into my lunch pail as a token of our friendship. And I'm like, euphemism. So in the kitchen, like you were saying, Marilyn is holding a giant bread and Lily takes out the giant salami.
Yeah.
Again, she's going to make a sub sandwich.
Yeah.
And Lily's like, you need to stop it. Or Marilyn tells Lily to stop encouraging this. And Lily's like, I'm not. I'm just going to share my supper with him.
Maybe he likes my bat's yogurt. Bat's milk yogurt is what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. The bat's milk yogurt. And Marilyn's like, well, Herman finds out about this. He's going to be upset. And Lily goes, well, how can he find out? He's working late, which I'm like, that is the wrong response. And also, a husband that forgets their 100th anniversary doesn't deserve much consideration. This episode is making me feel icky.
I understand like the line possibly, but not in that circumstance.
Yeah.
I could see someone saying that, but not in that that same circumstance that we're watching go out. So then we go to the shipyard where Herman is saying, hey, you can have some of my lunch. I brought you lunch in this plastic bag so that you can't tell that it's my lunch pail from work that you always pack, Lily. So it's in this paper bag. I said plastic, but it's a paper bag. And then
he brought extra sandwiches. He needs more room.
Maybe, yeah. So then Herman gets called over, and
I thought he was going to be chewed out for flirting on the job.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And then she goes, as Herman's being talked to, Lily goes through the bag and is pulling out the sandwich. And it's like, oh, this is like that, and
he likes all the stuff I do, including back milk yogurt.
Yeah.
He said, oh no. Why are you so nervous realizing that this could be your husband, Lily?
Yeah. So she gets.
I was having fun with this. Why did you have to turn to make this episode so weird? So she throws it back in the bag. We find out the supervisor is telling Herman, hey, the admiral's coming to do some morale inspections. Keep on your toes.
Yeah. Don't screw up. And then he calls Lily over as Herman walks back up. And that's when Herman ends up going through her lunch pail.
I want to note that Herman salutes and breaks his goggles so that he drunkenly has to walk back up the plank to the ship.
So then he goes through her little pail and realizes, oh shit, that's my wife.
Yeah, he's like, this is just like what Lily packs me. Oh. He's like, am I being unfaithful with my own wife?
What? If you're being unfaithful, period, you should be worried, you dumbass.
Yep. So the supervisor tells Lily the same thing, but can I note that he says it in a very demeaning way than what he tells Herman? Like there is a noticeable change in how he talks to her,
which I mean was probably right for the time, though.
Still.
I mean, that's how
it's a time period piece. I know.
That's how they were treated, for sure.
I know.
You can't edit everything, Tivis. You're not Disney. So
no, yeah. If I had editing power, there's be some changes here. So Lily goes back, and Herman is like he looks at her, and she goes to look at him, and he's like looks away real quick, and they're like they begin ignoring each other, and it's awkward. Like they do a great job selling the awkwardness with their body motions.
Oh yeah. And they just go like, oh yeah, we're not doing this now. Like
So the admiral arrives, and the supervisor's like, hey, remove your helmets and say hello to the admiral. They both look at each other like, I don't want to confirm my suspicions, but they have to. So they both raise their faces.
Yeah.
And they see each other, and they know.
And like the relationship thing, even though both were in the wrong, Lily is the guy's one fault that says it's Herman's fault. It's his issue. His blah, blah, blah. I call bullshit on that. Both are in the wrong. And they really both needed to be told they were in the wrong. And we never get that. We never get
Oh, yeah, they did. Oh my God. And Lily's like, how could you be flirting with a random shipyard girl? And Herman's like, you flirted with me and you didn't even know it was me. So shame, shame, shame. And the admiral and supervisor are just watching this transaction. Like maybe if you didn't refer to your employees by numbers, you would have realized they're married.
I will say though, in thinking about it a little bit, Herman did initiate the flirting.
Yes, he did.
So he does deserve a little bit more, but she received and welcomed it and flirted back too. So you can stop yourself from flirting. And there's a difference between being nice and flirting too.
Yep. Yeah. So like I said, the admiral and supervisor are just staring shocked at what's going on as Lily begins beating Herman with stuff. The admiral says this is the worst morale I've ever seen. I thought for sure he was going to say they're acting like an old married couple, but they didn't go for that low-hanging fruit. So he's like, fire them immediately. Yes, that's great for morale. I feel like that needs to be said to many, many people that I can't say it to. Anyway, so we get back to the house, and Lily and Herman are sitting back to back on the couch as Grandpa and Marilyn try to help, and also Eddie's there for some reason.
Because marital problems always need the child around, right?
Yeah, he doesn't contribute anything. So Grandpa's like, look. I realized you guys were fucking in the wrong, but I just swore. Sorry. I
said it already. So you're good.
I know this is just really upsetting me. It's Grandpa's like, you didn't know each other, but you still were attracted to each other. You fell in love all over again. And that just shows that how strong your bond is.
Bullshit.
Like, that is not what happened. No.
Bullshit.
No. So Herman and Lily immediately turn to look at each other, talking about how happy they are to have each other. Eddie thinks it's neat. Grandpa thinks it's touching. Marilyn thinks it's romantic. The Raven thinks it's sickening. I agree with the Raven. This feels gross.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not kosher. And Grandpa's analogy of like the tone of the story or whatever. Honestly, it's what Grandpa said would be something that freaking Hallmark would put out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it right.
No.
It doesn't make it right. So yeah, I was glad that at least the Raven said something worthwhile. So it was not something that I would recommend couples live their life by. And I know that might make a few people out there annoyed that I said that, but this is a Munster moment that you definitely should not live by. Especially if you're in a relationship.
Well, I have a little goof here. Lily's check at the bank says number 136, Lily Dracula Munster. While at the house, it's number 108, Mrs. Herman Munster. So it's just a little goof thing. And
okay.
And I got this little thing on a marriage anniversary gifts. So this dates back to the Holy Roman Empire, actually, which is kind of cool. But they have 3 recorded major gifts. On the 25th anniversary, you get a silver wreath, and on the 50th, you get a gold. But the list kind of stops at 90, and what you were given was an engraved marble or granite, kind of for your tombstone.
Wow.
Yep. If you make it to 90, your gift is supposed to be buying a tombstone for your partner.
Wow.
And that's where the list ends.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, man. So thoughts on this episode? Clearly, I think we've been giving them throughout. So
starts off wonderful, sweet episode, becomes real gross real quick. No real moral at the end.
Yeah.
Weird episode. Weird episode.
They try and give it some kind of weird moral but ending, but it that's not a love story right there. Nope. I don't think that they thought it through, but yeah.
Or they did, and we're just trying to find an easy out.
Right. Like, oh, crap. What are we supposed to do? Have them get divorced?
Yeah. Sometimes cheating can be good. Okay. So moving on.
All right. So, oh yeah, go on.
Oh, I was going to go on to the next episode.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Move on. Operation Herman, season 2, episode 7. Aired October 28th, 1965. So this would be our Halloween episode that year.
Okay.
Teleplay by Joe Connolly and Bob Mosier. Story by Dick Conway. Directed by Norman Abbott again. Yes, this episode, we have done 25 of these. Why do I still do that? Okay, it annoys me. Anyway, we got Don Kiefer as Dr. Elliot, who you will know as Cromwell from Star Trek.
Okay.
Marge Redmond as Miss Hazlitt. She played Mrs. Stewart in Yes, Galen, There Is a Monster. So if you recognize her, the nurse in this, it's because she was the terrible mom to the child in the finale of last season.
Okay.
Justin Smith as the doctor. Bill Quinn as attendant, who played Mr. White in Herman's Child Psychology. So a couple returning people. Mm-hmm. Dalton Allen as Dr. Willoughby. And Bob Hastings, again, uncredited as the Raven, which I decided to start including him in these episodes because I feel like he deserves it, even though last week I didn't mention him in the one he was in. So,
okay. Awesome. Ready for synopsis then?
Let's go. Hey, wait.
Oh,
Willoughby. Is this the family doctor returning on it with a new actor?
No, because that doctor was Dr. Dudley.
That's right, Dudley.
Yeah.
Because they really seemed like they were trying to make him that doctor.
That's what it felt like, but I'm glad that they changed the name and you know, all right.
Yeah, they cannot catch a break with these doctors. Synopsis.
All right. Operation Herman, October 28th, 1965. When Herman visits the hospital to see Eddie, who is having his tonsils out, he is mistaken for an accident victim and is immediately given a dose of laughing gas. And can I say, fuck this episode.
All right.
All right.
I can't wait to find out why. So we begin the episode with Herman walking through the hallway next to the stairs through a bunch of cobwebs, just his usual grin on his face, as something comes crashing through the front window. Herman announces to Lily that Eddie must be home as his books just came in. Eddie then storms in, smashing Herman with the door, saying he hates the whole world and that he will never talk to anyone again. Storming up the stairs, Lily comes in looking for Herman after hearing the yells, and she hears a muffled noise from behind the door where she opens it up. Herman has a teacup in his mouth. The tea is smashed into the kettle is smashed into his chest.
Yeah.
Blowing smoke out, and just everything is fused to the platter. I really bet that he regrets training him so super hard last week now. She also takes her tea bag off of his bolt, which was a hilarious addition. Yeah. And Herman makes a joke that he realizes is a dud instantly. So that was our opening. And that is a heck of an opening.
Mm-hmm. Then we go into our credits.
Yeah.
Again.
Still loving this news.
The sequence.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't. I really hope Munsters today is as good as the intro as this.
We'll see. We got ways to go, sir.
Oh yeah, we do.
Ways to go. All right, so let's dive into this. So we enter into the house where Lily is like almost like perfectly centered with the camera. Mm-hmm. And we get this cool sequence, like they're talking about, you know, what could be wrong with Eddie and
he didn't come down for supper.
But we do this awesome sequence where it goes from Lily's face to Grandpa's face, to Herman's face, and then we turn a little bit and we get Marilyn walking into scene.
Like, did really this remind you of that 70s show a bit?
A little bit.
I'm like, oh, so is this? I wonder if this might be the first introduction of the idea of that panning the room.
I don't think so. In 65, I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't seen it before at this point. So. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a thought I had.
So they're discussing everything that's going on with Eddie, and eventually
Grandpa blames the modern world ruining him. In his age, kids would dig a hole in the backyard and bury their problems. Herman says maybe he found out about the birds and the bees. He didn't sleep for a week when he found out making honey was a side hustle.
Herman goes to Eddie's. And Herman goes to Eddie's room and tries to figure out what's wrong with him. What?
Marilyn says she just tried to knock on his door and he howled at her, and Lily's like, whoa. He only does that when the moon's out. This is serious, Herman. Get up there.
Yeah.
Herman's like, yeah, I guess. Yeah, well, no, Herman says he's not very good at that. And I'm like, thinking back to the 3 times he went up there to try and talk to Eddie, we've noticed it never goes well. Yeah. And so I don't know if that was a callback or not, but it was a nice touch. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So
upstairs, he goes into Eddie's room, and that's where he has Eddie sit down. And he's just talking to him and trying to figure out what the hell's going on, basically.
Yeah. Grandpa also says all little Draculas are spoiled rotten at that age. And Lily's like, all kids can't have the advantages we had, which now that we know they're Draculas, they are throwing that around like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get to the door, Eddie's door. He knocks, get a howl. Herman's like, do not talk to me in that tone. Open this door. So Eddie opens it. They go in, and it does not take Herman is real good this episode. It does not take him long to get Eddie to speak after Eddie declared he will never speak again. So he's like, well, what's wrong? Teacher sent me home with a note. Where's the note? I ate it. You know you're not supposed to be having snacks in between meals. So he's like, if you got sent home with a teacher's note, it must be for poor academics. It's like, what are you failing? Science, math, social studies? Tonsils. I knew it. You shouldn't have took the subject if you weren't sure you could do it. He is not in college, Herman. That is Maryland. You are confusing the children.
I mean, well, what grade is he in? Yeah, he probably can't pick his classes yet.
Electives? No, we didn't get electives until high school. So
my kid has them, and he's in middle.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. But that's also, 2020s. So.
Yeah. Give more options to kids, I say. Let them figure out where they want to go in life. Don't cram friggin' study skills down their throat that just turns out to be a class you read a book.
Have a Munsters class in school.
Yeah.
Where you just watch Munsters all the time.
So Eddie's, yeah. Well, so I'm going to go off subject again, but
no, just
don't forget.
Oh, go on.
In the community show, they had a whole class about who's the boss. So,
yeah. So this is where Eddie eventually shows Herman his tonsils. Like he opens
They're like,
and
I'm going to need surgery. They say, I don't want to have surgery. Herman's like, it's no big deal. I learned we shouldn't get upset or emotional over minor medical matters, which is something I've been trying to tell my wife for a long time. And my father, for that matter. You think something's wrong? Go see a doctor.
Sometimes. Or you just stuff it out.
Go. Just go. It's better to have to pay the check and have peace of mind.
All right. So then Herman looks in Eddie's mouth to see what is going on. And Herman,
yeah, his tonsils. We find out he has a phobia.
And then Eddie yells down the stairs, Mom, Dad just passed out.
Yeah, he's like, again, somebody come get him. Well, this is clearly not the first time that he's just passed out randomly.
Yeah.
So the Raven announces that it's 3:00, and Lily's like, oh, I hope Herman remembers to take Eddie to the doctor. If he's not on the way to the doctor already, you should probably be yelling at him to get out the door.
Right.
Herman's like, why didn't you let me do it? I got to remove him, no problem. He's like, I used to be the foremost throat specialist in the old country. That's a business I could really sink my teeth into. Lily's like, I don't like Willard Wallaby. Oh my God, I can't say his name. I don't like our doctor. When Herman broke his leg skiing, the man came and put a splinter on the bedpost.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, is this the same doctor? Is he, blind as well?
Well, it's not the same name, so it can't.
No, it's not.
So I don't know what they're going on about with that.
Oh, and then we get to the scene with the doctor, and oh boy, this guy needs to have his medical license revoked.
He's a dick. He's a bad person.
He really is. And Herman. All right, let's get into it. So he starts by trying to check Eddie's tonsils by using his mirror to look at his own throat and declaring it the worst he's ever seen. Herman is not pleased at this antics and tells him that's your own throat.
Yeah.
The doctor's like, oh, yeah, I got yelled at about that all the time.
Only when the doctors are around does Herman become smart.
Only with this doctor. He then goes to try and take Eddie's temperature and sticks a cigar in his mouth while talking to Herman. And Herman's just like shaking his head like, don't do that. Yeah. Then he turns around and it's like, wow, what are you doing? Smoking's horrible for that throat of yours. He's like, all right, where's that thermometer? He's like, it's in your pocket, dude. He's like,
close it out.
Right. You don't have a fever. Why are you sick?
The fever. Oh, you didn't even put it in his mouth or nothing.
Let's check your throat now. And Eddie is refusing to open his mouth. And Herman's like, he doesn't want to open his mouth. And also, he thinks you're a rat fink doctor, which I think Herman is using his son to get his own thoughts out at this point.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, if you open up, what?
This is when Eddie is like mumbling with his mouth closed. So the doctor's like, what did he say?
Yeah. He's like, if you open up, I'll give you a lollipop. And Herman's like, he goes,
you need to open his mouth. That's what he says. He doesn't say, will you? He said, you need to open his mouth. And then Herman's like, well, will I get a lollipop?
Yeah. Do I get a little? He's like, if you don't do it, I'm going to hit you in the head. And Herman's like, we just open up their mouth for the rat fink doctor. So, yeah, that's definitely Herman talking. So he looks inside and he's like, oh, you're a kind boy, the kind I don't need. He's like, oh, I see your pancreas. No, you can't. Yeah. So he's like, well, what about his tonsils? He's like, oh, yeah, we'll get those out. He's like, he'll be on bed rest for a few days. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to miss the school play. I was cast as the Big Bad Wolf in Little Riding Hood. And the doctor then begins taunting Herman with his fear of tonsils by telling him to look. I know the doctor knows that Herman has a phobia because just the way he says it's like, why don't you have a look?
Have a look, little man.
Come on, you asshole.
Let's do it. Yeah, and then this is where Herman faints, and you can see when he falls down, you can see the mat so
yes, you can. You can see
in this, like they didn't even try to hide it with a chair or anything. You could just see the fall mat that Herman falls onto, or Fred falls.
Yes, you can.
And it's just like, holy crap! I've never seen one so clearly, like in the footage that was sent out. You know?
Oh yeah. They probably couldn't do too many takes with this. Where they're like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But he causes the whole building to shake, and the doctor runs under his desk. Every man for himself. Earthquake.
Yeah. Horrible doctor. And
Herman hates this guy. You can just tell.
Well, then we go back to the house where they're talking about his operation was finalized and everything, and he got his
there was no issues.
This is what my issue is with this whole freaking episode.
What is that?
Why are none of his family members at the hospital with him? He is a minor. He is a kid. He is like 10 years old. What
visiting hours ended?
Don't give no. Yeah, they are his parents. One of them should be there at all times. When my kids go to the hospital, one of us is there at all times. Like I had to sleep in the hospital for like 3 weeks when my kid was in the hospital a couple years back. I'm like, don't give me that shit. Like, fuck you people. Fuck this episode. Sorry about my language, but dang it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I understand your frustration now. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that's true.
So they're all like dilly-dallying to go see him too. Like they don't give a crap.
No, they just got back from seeing him. And Herman's like, oh, can I go? And Lily's like, no. They said he needs to rest for the night. It's better you stay here because they don't want
the doctor,
anyone fainting.
Yeah, the doctor doesn't want you there. Like,
yeah, because they're worried he's gonna destroy the hospital.
What do you faint from, though?
Yeah, Grandpa's like, they really think a man like me is afraid of blood. Like, right. Yes, that's what they're worried about. So Lily and Marilyn go upstairs for the night, and Grandpa's like, "Hey, Herman, let's go see Eddie." It's like, but Lily's gonna get mad at me. Yeah, just sneak out later tonight. Herman's like, oh, all right. That sounds fun.
They really just need to put the tagline in "What's new" when he says that Lily's going to be mad. I'm sorry. I'm on Herman's side with his marriage. I realize I'm starting to take sides.
It's a reasonable thing to do with some of the past few episodes, especially this season with Lily.
Yeah.
Not that Herman has made the best choices either, but
clearly Herman has some type of mental disability.
Yeah, he's made up of brain parts. So Herman gets ready to sneak out. He puts a sack in the bed, a bucket for his head, and then uses a mop for hair. And then he goes out in the hallway. He's like, Grandpa, where are you? Grab my hand. And he grabs the statue of the armor that's in the hall.
Yeah.
And starts to walk away before Grandpa runs up and grabs, like, what the heck's wrong with you?
But then right after, he's like, oh, there's Woof Woof. Let me grab Woof Woof. Like, you can see Woof Woof, but you couldn't see Grandpa.
Which, I mean, yeah, that's a great thing to do. Take that for your kid. That's really going to make him happy. That's a good parent right there.
That should have been there already. Like,
yeah, why didn't Lily take it?
She's a bad mother too.
Well, we are picking sides here. So they make it to the hospital, and Grandpa's like, hey, oh, I'm sorry. Before they leave, Lily wakes up, feels for Herman, and is like, oh, okay, you're still there.
Just wanted to make sure.
Is he wandering around at night again?
No, she just wants to make sure he's her prisoner. What are you talking about?
Well, remember when they thought he was the monster in the park, he was having trouble sleeping, so he would just go out walking randomly.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Grandpa's asked the nurse, can you help us? And she goes, oh, what happened? Well, or so she goes, when did it happen?
Yeah.
Oh, this afternoon. Why didn't you bring him sooner? It's like, well, I wanted to, but his wife wouldn't let me. So I'm like, she goes off, and I'm like, she's probably filing some domestic abuse papers.
Good.
And Grandpa's like, hey, I see Eddie's name on that chart. Let's just take the elevator. So if people didn't know, back in quite a number of, actually it wasn't that long ago, but they had people in elevators to push the button for you. Is a bellhop, I think it was what they're called, right?
I like hotels and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that's what's in this elevator too.
You think
it looks like an order? I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was just like another like random nurse or something. Really?
I don't know. Maybe, but either way, they open the door, take one look at them, get back in. The elevator not only goes to the roof, it shoots out of the building and continues into the sky according to the crack in the wall.
Yeah.
So I think they just sent someone to heaven. I'm not sure. It's hard to say.
Well, I mean, if it went out the building, that guy's probably dead anyway. So maybe.
So they're like, hey, let's just use the stairs. The nurse comes back with two orderlies. And she's like, what? They were right here. And the orderlies, you've been working way too many nights. I'm like, look at the wall. The wall is destroyed. Something has happened here.
Yeah. And then this is, we go back then. Is this when we go back to? Yeah, we go back to Lily.
Yeah. She's like rubbing the bucket.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she realizes. No, she doesn't realize from the flat face. She pats it and hears the metallic sound.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't notice his nose is gone?
Well, I mean, maybe he's facing the other way.
His ear would be there.
No, if he's facing the other way.
What, face down? You would feel his hair then.
I don't know.
There's facial features all sides of your head.
Maybe they fell off, Tivis. Come on. He's always losing his part.
There would be a hole there. You would hope.
You'd hope.
I hope they're not just attached like Mr. Potato Head for no reason.
Even Mr. Potato Head has holes.
So she freaks out and screams for Marilyn. She's like, she seems worried that Herman ran away at first before she's like, no, he went to the movies in secret again.
Yeah. Like the whole thing is like Herman's out doing something he shouldn't be doing. Like,
yeah, like going to the movies in secret.
Going to try and see his kid. And you notice they don't say anything about where's Grandpa?
No, they don't care.
They don't give a crap. They don't even
Grandpa goes out all the time at night. They understand. They
should have asked where's Grandpa, because Grandpa could look on his little crystal balls and find out where Herman's at. That should
those aren't working right. Still Spot sat on it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Damn you, Spot.
So Grandpa and Herman make it to floor 5 out of breath, I might add. Oh. These two are not, for someone who is training his son in endurance stuff, he's not that. He needs to work on his cardio.
It's all the smoking they do.
Yeah. They might have actually went up 5 flights of stairs by the sound of them. So they see a sign that should be in the lobby saying no visitors after 8.
Yeah.
Herman's like, well, I guess we'll have to try again tomorrow. And Grandpa's like, no, we're here. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? They throw us out?
Yeah. And this is when Grandpa puts on a little doctor's gown and surgical gown of all things too.
Well, Herman's like, I don't need any more mad doctors in my life. But yeah, he puts the coat on horribly, grabs the stethoscope, and he's like, hey, Herman, get on this gurney. I'm going to cover you with a blanket.
Yeah.
Like, of course you are. He's like, I'm going to go see if the coast is clear. The front desk nurse comes up and is like, why are they just leaving bodies in the hallway again? Those friggin' horrible little orderlies are terrible at their job.
So then she wheels him into the room. She doesn't even check and see if he's alive or not either.
No, she just takes him.
Because usually if their faces are covered like that, it's a dead body. And they do leave them in the hallways sometimes. Like I've been in hospitals where they've left toe tags out on people, like toe tag people out in the hallways because they got distracted with something else. You're not supposed to, by the way, for anyone who works in the hospital.
That is a horrible group to be a part of, by the way. I don't want to be part of the toe tag group. Just put me in the morgue. Don't leave me in the hallway. His grandpa comes back and he's confused and angry that Herman's gone. Doesn't mention the table is gone. He's just mad Herman's gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the nurse wheels him into an operating room. The doctor's like, what's this? They left him in the hallway again. You have horrible staff at this hospital, lady. Like, who is your chief of medicine? So they pull the sheet off and Herman's just there cuddling Wolf staring at him. And they're like, oh, I don't think I can help this one. And puts the sheet back over his head.
Yeah. She's like, doctor, that's the guy who came in earlier that disappeared.
Yeah, that's the guy from the lobby.
Yeah. And then he starts talking. Takes him out.
Whoa, he's alive. Were there any other survivors? Like, we need to sedate this man.
And he tries to take Wolf from him, and he's like, nope. And he just slides it off to the side of himself.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just here to see my kid who got his tonsils out. He's delirious.
Yeah. And then they try and sedate him, and they can't get the needle through him. So basically he's like Superman or Hulk or something.
Yeah. They gotta give him nitrous. They're gonna gas him up, laughing gas style.
Did they think to, remove his coat before they tried to put the needle in his arm?
I didn't notice.
They didn't. He's fully clothed, and they try and put a needle into him. Like, where are you putting that? Because you didn't even roll his sleeve up or anything.
Then we get this horrible interaction with Grandpa, who is wandering the halls. His coat is now on properly, looking like a proper mad scientist.
Yeah.
And runs into another doctor who sees him distressed. He's like, what's wrong? I lost a patient. That's, well, if you don't tell anyone on me, I won't tell anyone on you. And then just walks away.
You don't tell on me, I won't tell on you. And that is Freaky.
Wait, what? What is this doctor doing?
And then you got a question like, what? Wait, is the doctor talking about? Did he kill a patient too,
Yeah.
or did he do something else to a patient? And he's just like, don't tell on me. I won't tell that you killed somebody.
Oh my God, there's so much questions for this one interaction that we'll never know.
Yeah.
So we cut back to the doctor strapping Herman to the table with Wolf Wolf, I might add. So he's nice enough not to take him away. It's like, I'm not an accident victim. I'm just here to see my kid. Put the mask on him.
Yeah, they put the laughing gas mask on him, nitrous, and they have him going. And I was waiting for this gag that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, but they actually let it go for a little bit before the bad cops. Yeah. So I was actually surprised they let it go for as long as they did before they did. Like, I thought it was going to be like the first time or something.
Yeah, and they're like, we need to go get the chief of surgery because we need a specialist for this guy.
Yeah.
So Grandpa walks in. He's like, Herman, there you are. Get up. we got to get going, dude. Get up. So he gets him out of the chair and we cut back to the house. Apparently, they never made it to Eddie's room.
Yeah.
Because they just go home at this point. And Lily's like, where is Herman? And then you hear, she starts listing his qualities. At least he's a sober, father. And then you hear the drunken singing.
Yeah.
The stereotypical drunken singing.
Fred plays this up, bro. I really liked. I wonder if they did give him like something to make his voice a little higher too, or if they just changed the audio on him, because it sounded a little like higher pitched than what Fred Gwynn's voice is. So
he's actually singing two songs throughout this. Red Sails in the Sunset from 1935 and Silver Threads Among the Gold from 1873.
Huh?
So just if anyone was wondering and wanted to look it up themselves, they liked the song he was singing. But Grandpa's like trying to unlock the door while keeping Herman up against the wall at the same time. He finally gets him in, and Herman is just straight up a drunk person at this point. It's not gas. He's wasted.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty interesting house you got here, lady.
But luckily they do say, before she blows up on them more, that he is on laughing gas.
Well, he's like, I'm on gaffing laughs. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I bet you are. And Grandpa's like, no, he is. Yeah. He's like, wait, really? She was getting ready to jump down his throat.
Yeah. And luckily Grandpa was nice enough, he wasn't being a dick this episode. Oh yeah, he's just wasted.
Yeah. Marilyn, before he gets explained, she is so disappointed in her uncle.
Yeah.
He's like, if it wasn't for this friendly penguin, I never would have got home. He turns to look at Grandpa. Thank you, penguin.
Then Herman's going upstairs with whatever the heck that thing is supposed to be in his hand. Was that still Wolf Wolf? It wasn't Wolf Wolf. I don't even know what the hell it was.
I don't know. I can't remember, but
it looked like a paper like bag thing rolled up. It looked like a giant dildo in his hand.
Oh, okay. I just love the whole thank you, penguin.
Yeah.
Anytime anyone refers to Grandpa as a penguin is just fantastic because it's so true. But the next morning, Herman is talking to Eddie, who's back home, or it could be a couple of days from now, because they did say Eddie was going to be in bed rest for a while.
Right.
I've never had my tonsils out, so I don't know how quick you can go home, especially 60 years ago. But he's like, oh, Yeah, it was no problem at all. I loved being at the hospital. They let me watch TV. And Grandpa's like, I never lost my tonsils. The doctor claimed they'll be with me till the day I die. And I have several times now.
No, so the day I go to my grave, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah, to my grave. Yeah. And he's like, hey, Dad, you want to see my tonsils?
I apologize too. It is Wolf Wolf. He's just holding Wolf Wolf's arm.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I just looked back at it. I was like, wait, what is this?
I was too preoccupied with the penguin joke at the time.
Yeah.
So
Eddie's like, you want to see him? Like,
you can't. They took him out.
Yeah.
Like, no,
I got him in a jar, Dad.
Yeah.
Come on. What times?
Oh no. he faints, destroying the couch and landing in the harp.
Yes, first time we see the couch actually busted. The whole back flops off.
He has broken the arm off before,
and this is just without even seeing the tonsils, just as the thought of seeing them.
Yep. They're now in a jar that is going to be in his house forever.
Yeah.
And the Raven pops out and announces, yeah, it's 3:00 again. It also makes a crack at Herman that I didn't hear, but everyone laughs.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I didn't like the fact that they left their kid at the place by themselves, but maybe in the 60s they weren't allowed to stay there like we can nowadays. Who knows? That was my biggest thing about this episode. I was just like, why are you leaving your kid alone in the hospital, man? Like, yeah. So, but what were your thoughts about this episode, man?
It was a lot more fun than the 100th anniversary one for sure.
It was less creepy.
Yeah, well, just the whole I really enjoy Grandpa and Herman stories. Like anytime they're either going head to head or working together, it's always a blast. Like those two together were comedic gold.
Yeah, yeah. Their comedy works well together, especially the facial reactions that they both have with each other and stuff. So, and I think having them in scenes together always pushes both actors.
Oh yeah,
do even more to upsell their performance better than the other person just upsell theirs or upsold. So yeah, it's Lily again was about to freak out for no reason, man. Yeah.
Well, she thought he went out drinking.
I guess, but I mean, your kid's in the hospital. Wouldn't you worry more about that than your husband leaving the bed at night? He's a grown man.
You should still let your partner know when you leave the house, you would hope.
Sometimes, but what if you didn't want to wake her up because she looks so cute and pretty and
leave a note?
And if you left the house and woke her up, she didn't even look for a note.
They didn't leave a note.
Why are we arguing about their fight?
Listeners, feel free to let us know what side of the argument you fall on.
Here we go. Before we get out of here and do all this stuff, definitely email us or comment on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, your thoughts on episode, what would it be, 6?
The 100th one? Yeah, it's 6.
One. So episode 6, the happy 100th anniversary, on your thoughts about how you feel that played out with Herman and Lily both basically cheating on each other, but with each other, except they didn't know it was each other. So
yeah, do you think we're overreacting and Grandpa was right, or do you think how we reacted is the appropriate way to respond to that?
Yeah, because Grandpa says that them doing that meant that their love was so strong and blah blah blah, which I don't feel that way with that scenario specifically. There's a way to do that and it happened, but they're not in the way that they did it, I guess. So yeah, that's you can email us your responses too if you don't want to do them on social media. at TheMunsterCast@outlook.com and let us know your responses and let us know if we can read them on air, so we know whether or not we can do that. So,
and if you know anyone who's excited about the movie, feel free to share our show with them. Like, we are getting pumped for this, especially me after I met Jeff a couple weeks ago. Dude, I cannot, if he's at a convention near you, I cannot state this enough. Go talk to him. He's such a nice dude.
Tivis is still going on about it 2 weeks later or whatever it is.
Yeah. I still got his photo. I got to get it framed.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Any last words for the episode, dude?
This was the up and down week, but interesting pair of episodes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I know we've given you guys a couple of long ones 2 weeks in a row, so I apologize for that. We'll try to keep them a little shorter.
Yeah, it's fine. Shit happens. Yeah. Stuff happens. Munsters happen. So what are we watching next week? Drop that real quick before we get going.
As true to form, I don't have it pulled up.
All right. Do you want me to do it then?
We'll see if IMDb works for me this week. Pulling up Operation Herman because it's still in my history. Next episode is Lily Star Border and Joe Doe Munster.
John Doe.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's gonna. I don't have any clue what those could be about from the titles, so this is gonna be an interesting week.
Awesome. With that said, Tivis, final words or no?
Just the show just continues to entertain every week,
and I'm glad with the episode 100, or not episode 100, but the 100th anniversary one, it actually gives us a little bit more to talk about too, which is nice.
Yeah.
Based in real world to an extent. I like the episodes that allow us to do that. Like we had the one with the Soviets and stuff like that, where we got some more conversation out of it, not just telling everybody what happened in the episode, but we actually can converse on these things, which is awesome. And I love it when you can converse on the product and media that you're watching. And I hope you all do too. And we thank you for sticking around with us through episode 25. That's what, a quarter of 100. So we're popping these out pretty good. And hopefully you guys will stick with us as we continue on through season 2 of the Munsters and continue on into the movies and everything else that we're going to dive on into. And we really appreciate all of you. And we just want you to know that we appreciate all of our listeners and viewers and stuff like that.
Sure. I apologize. From here on out, I am probably going to be an advocate for this movie because I'm super excited to see what they have for us.
So now you're sorry that you were talking crap about it. Got it.
Oh, it's a learning experience. The listeners got to listen to me grow.
Right?
Awesome. I'm still never going to watch any other Rob Zombie movie, but
we'll see about that. If you want to see Tivis watch another Rob Zombie movie, you can check us out on another podcast that we do. It's called Operation Babel. I think it's the first time we've actually said anything about it on this podcast. So you can tune in there and listen to us talk about some other stuff. We're going through and doing some Doctor Strange stuff right now. So I think when this podcast comes out, we're dropping our last one of Doctor Strange for that. So definitely check it out. And we will catch you guys next time as we take another stroll down 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
The lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall or short, or fat or thin, or ugly, or handsome, like your father. Or you can be black or yellow or white. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character.